During our study from verse 5, we move into verse 6, which reads, "If any man is above reproach, the husband of one wife, having children who believe, not accused of dissipation or rebellion." Now, we've established why Paul left Titus on Crete and what Titus is there to do, which is to appoint elders in every city on the island. Now, here in verse 6, Paul is going to give stipulations for who should be appointed as an elder. And that, very simply, is any man above reproach. And everything that follows can be thought of as a subheading under above reproach. Now, in earlier videos, we've mentioned how important knowing the Old Testament is when trying to interpret the New Testament. And verses like this one are where that pays off in spades. For example, Paul's words here in verse 6 can very easily be misinterpreted to say that an unmarried man cannot be appointed to eldership. But as we continue working through the book, I think we'll start to see that that's not quite what's going on here. Paul explains above reproach to mean the husband of one wife, having children who believe, not accused of dissipation or rebellion. In other words, this elder's reputation has to be squeaky clean, and these are all stipulations first put in place in the Old Testament. So it's not just that he has to have a good reputation, but he has to have good standing with regards to the law. Only taking one wife is an established precedent as early as Genesis 2:24. Being responsible and teaching his children, that's laid out in Deuteronomy 6:1-8. These are charges straight from the Old Testament, and there is a very important reason Paul is wanting elders on Crete appointed in this way, but he hasn't given us that reason just yet. Here in verse 6 and in verses going forward, we are really going to learn the value of context when it comes to interpreting the Bible. Remember, Paul is not writing in a vacuum, but in a historical time and place, and he's going to tell us why he is being very strict with who he wants appointed as an elder in the churches on Crete. So before we start calling for our single pastors to be fired, let's keep working through our text and see if we can gain a clear understanding of what Paul is doing with regards to appointing elders on Crete.